dream that they wanted to give up on necessarily. However, I don't see them looking for another wife after this.
Whoa, really?
No.
For years, Kody Brown had played the long game, smiling through clenched teeth, nodding politely in scenes filmed for public consumption, staying quiet when it was more strategic to listen, and biding her time while Kody Brown, ever the self-declared patriarch, paraded his delusions of control across seasons like he was starring in his own tragedy. But this time, something shifted, and it wasn't just subtle tension or passive-aggressive glances over a dinner table. No, this time it was nuclear. Just after midnight, when most of the fanbase was still wiping off their face masks and crawling under blankets after a rerun marathon, Kody dropped the equivalent of a televised financial warhead. No caption, no emojis, no context. Just a cropped scan, blurry at the edges but unmistakable in content attacks form. Or something that looked suspiciously like one, with numbers that screamed louder than any confession ever could. The forums ignited like wildfire. Sister Wives subreddits lit up, enhanced versions circulated within minutes, and on every digital magnifying glass blown up and filtered version, one thing stood out more than any line item: bold, red, underlined in what looked like Sharpie, were the words post-sale and a pair of initials, RB, two tiny letters that in any other family might have meant anything, but in this fractured world of polygamy, reality TV, and decades of unraveling resentment, they pointed to only one: name Robyn Brown. Kody said nothing, but she didn't have to. The fans connected the dots faster than any private investigator. The timing of the forms filing, the visible drop in gross revenue, the geo-dropping deductions, and above all, the whisper of land quietly being sold off while the other wives remained uninformed, wasn't just messy, was surgical. And behind that calculated silence, Kody's digital army mobilized. Tearing through episode timelines, body language analysis, archived interviews, and production scraps like detectives with a vendetta. They knew the table visible in the background of Kody's photo. The beige marble surface had been seen before, in her Arizona home before the split, which meant this wasn't some impulsive leak. No, this had been planned, curated, saved, and dropped like a grenade at the exact right time, and it worked. Not only was Kody silent, but even Robyn, who normally leaped to his defense with emotional intensity, said nothing. That silence echoed louder than a denial. Reddit sleuths soon declared the document a Schedule C, a self-employed income form, and as they poured through it, something alarming emerged. Two versions of the same form with wildly different figures. One showed a healthy income, the other a cliff-like drop and a deduction labeled consulting fee to the tune of 6 figures. Below that, a depreciation line item. But the kicker: one form was dated weeks after the other, both signed by Kody in his unmistakable handwriting, those big dramatic slants. The looping arrogance of a man who thought no one would question him. But fans did. Oh, they questioned everything, especially once they noticed the listed address changed between filings. Was one a correction or a cover-up? And then came whispers from inside, the kind that send shivers through production teams and network executives alike. A user named K, claiming to be a former crew member from TLC, emerged on a long-standing subreddit, revealing panic behind the scenes during the time the Coyote Pass sale was finalized. According to her, Kody's inner circle contacted production, practically begging them to scrub any footage mentioning appraisals, financial discussions, or sale prices. Kay recalled one day in particular a picnic at Coyote Pass, filmed with all the wives, where Kody, looking visibly irritated, held a folded piece of paper and asked a cameraman, "Are we allowed to film lies?" That scene never aired. Not a single frame of it. And suddenly, when paired with Kody's silent bombshell, fans realized how much had been erased from the public narrative. The implication was massive had TLC been complicit in editing around Kody's financial gymnastics. Had Robyn pushed to protect her image as the loyal wife by quietly encouraging the erasure of incriminating footage? A resurfaced clip from 7 years ago where Kody jokingly said, "One day, this land is going to save us or ruin us," started making rounds again, this time no longer funny, but prophetic, because it looked like it had done both. Land had saved him financially, but ruined him relationally. And Christine, she waited and waited. Until, according to anonymous insiders, a local realtor confirmed that only one payout had come from the Coyote Pass sale, not multiple, not divided, just one. That eliminated Janelle, Mary, and Christine, which left, of course, either Kody or Robyn. And just as that bombshell landed, fans noticed a peculiar timeline shift. If Kody's income had dropped so drastically, why was he suddenly hiring staff again? Why was he seen in leaked footage interviewing a personal assistant? And then another breadcrumb surfaced. Forensic accountant Jane, known online for her takedowns of celebrity prenups, weighed in during a live stream watched by thousands. She clarified she didn't work with the Browns, but had seen enough to identify what looked like income compression, intentionally minimizing taxable income, while shifting funds to untraceable entities. Not illegal per se, but suspicious, especially paired with LLC transfers and land swaps, executed just days before the tax form filing date. One LLC had reportedly passed land to another business entity 3 days before the form was signed. On paper, sure, that could be about liability or taxes. But in context, it screamed misdirection, and the worst part? Christine might not be done. Kay, the ex-crew member, hinted that Christine had her own footage, recorded with a personal phone, possibly timestamped, potentially showing conversations that contradicted Kody's claims about fair distribution and family transparency. If that footage ever saw daylight, the entire Brown family narrative, spun tightly by TLC and edited carefully to uphold the illusion of equal love and fairness, could implode. Already, fans were combing through past episodes with newfound fervor, rewatching group picnics and campfire scenes, pausing at the moment when Christine's posture stiffened, when Robyn interrupted with a sudden change of subject, or when Kody's answers turned evasive. One jump cut, in particular, mid-sentence, drew attention. Christine had just started asking why one of the lots had been reassigned, and then cut to Robyn laughing about marshmallows. Subtle, but in hindsight, strategic. Fans also revisited Kody's old interviews, especially one where he said, "I structured things smart to keep what's ours." That phrasing now felt loaded. Ours? Whose ours? His and Robyn's, not Janelle, who by all accounts was blindsided. Not Mary, who had already checked out emotionally. And certainly not Christine, who was now orchestrating what looked like the most calculated PR and financial counterattack reality TV had ever seen. This wasn't revenge. This was chess. And Christine had been playing it alone for years, while Kody flaunted favoritism and Robyn cried her way into family control. The initials are be-scrawled in the tax forms corner might seem like a whisper, but in this story, they roared. And fans, they weren't done yet. Some were now theorizing that Christine had waited not just for maximum emotional impact, but for legal safety, that once the divorce finalized and her ties to Coyote Pass were officially severed, she felt free to leak the documents without risking a breach. And with the documents came more than just numbers, it came validation. For years, Christine had been painted as emotional, dramatic, rebellious for walking away. But now she looked prophetic. The tax forms were her receipts. And though Kody might pretend ignorance, he couldn't erase signatures. Fans compared those loops and slants from the leaked scans to past court filings and TLC contracts. And the match was uncanny. Even the mailing address listed below one signature raised eyebrows was an address tied to a short-lived shell. company registered in Flagstaff for a few months during the land negotiations. And just when it couldn't get worse, an archived screenshot from a since-deleted Instagram live surfaced, showing Kody bragging about keeping the land clean from legal machines. That live was from over a year ago, back when Christine had just moved to Utah and hadn't said a word publicly. But now it sounded like a confession, and the silence, it grew louder. No denial from Kody, nothing from Robyn. TLC released no statement. Even Mary and Janelle, normally more responsive, stayed unusually quiet, which some fans interpreted as a sign they had just learned the truth themselves. Rumors swirled that Janelle had consulted a lawyer, that Mary had sent legal inquiries, that Robyn had retained a private advisor to manage fallout. But Christine? She just posted a photo of her holding a coffee mug that read, "Trust the timing," and the internet lost it. Was it petty? Maybe. Was it surgical? Absolutely. And in a storyline that's dragged across seasons with more tears than truths, Christine's silent pointed leak may have been the most honest thing this franchise has ever seen. Because when a tax form tells the story, no confessionals will. When initials in the margin speak louder than scripted sit-downs. When production edits start to unravel under forensic fan scrutiny, and when one woman's quiet refusal to be erased becomes the plot twist of the year, then maybe, just maybe, it's time to stop asking who's to blame and start asking who finally had the courage to show the receipts. Show the receipts.
So did he marry me out of an obligation? You know, our church doesn't have the whole arranged marriages, but it sounds to me that he felt like he had to marry me.
Jane, the known-sense forensic accountant who'd already made waves breaking down high-profile celebrity disputes and reality show finances, reappeared at the exact moment the fandom needed her most, and she didn't disappoint. In her signature, methodical tone, she pointed out the glaring issue with Kody Brown's recently leaked tax documents, specifically the vague line item labeled consulting, a category notoriously abused in industries where services are intangible, value is subjective, and accountability is minimal. But this time, it wasn't just an empty phrase on paper. The dollar amount attached to the consulting fee matched suspiciously close to a real-world purchase, one that had already made waves in fan circles weeks earlier when Robyn Brown was spotted in a boutique Facebook ad sporting a custom emerald necklace sparkling with fresh polish and unmistakably expensive. Fans didn't need press releases or confirmed receipts, they had already done the math. These were not casual observers. Sister Wives fans had built spreadsheets cataloging timeline inconsistencies, cross-referenced vehicle upgrades with scene, air dates, and archived jewelry pieces down to the carat. When Robyn flashed that necklace just weeks after the Coyote Pass land deal closed, eyebrows weren't just raised, they practically flew off faces. Who paid for that necklace? Where did the cash come from? Why was its value eerily close to the consulting fee now leaked? Jane never accused anyone directly, but she delivered a chilling warning on her livestream. If this was marital income, and if it was dispersed or converted into luxury assets without proper disclosure, that's not just messy, that's legally risky. The implications were immense, especially since Christine had, for years, been part of a shared financial structure, if only partially, even if only informally. Jane added that if Christine could show she was entitled to a share of any pooled income, then she might be able to demand further financial disclosures. When the narrative shifted, suddenly, this wasn't just drama, it was a legal storm waiting to erupt. And the rumors came fast and hot. A Utah-based legal blogger with alleged ties to Christine's team claimed the tax document leak wasn't impulsive at all, but rather a precision move, deliberate, timed, and planned for maximum impact. According to their sources, Christine had been sitting on the form and other data for months, waiting not just for emotional leverage, but for concrete proof, real-world purchases, traceable transfers, something she could pair with her evidence. and turn into a weapon, the consulting fee. That might only be the beginning. The blogger hinted this was just one of multiple payments. Christine planned to expose each, allegedly tied to a different Robyn-adjacent acquisition. 'Cause this story, the source explained, wasn't just about Kody's income dipping. It was about where the rest of the money went and who signed for it. And once the scent of cash was in the air, the fandom pounced like bloodhounds. Within days, over a dozen PayPal screenshots surfaced on private fan forums and secret Facebook groups, each allegedly showing money transfers tied to accounts linked to the Brown family's business endeavors. None of the accounts had public ownership markers, but fans had their own methods. Using old LLC filings, website registrations, and archived email handles, they started connecting usernames to Brown-adjacent IP addresses, unearthing digital fingerprints that pointed towards something murky. The amounts in the screenshots weren't pocket change, either $25,000 here, $78,000 there, another $453,000 labeled only as admin retainer. None of them matched known LLC filings from the Brown family's registered businesses, and yet the dates uncannily aligned with the Coyote Pass land sale closure. These weren't public documents. They didn't come with media verification or notarized affidavits. But to the fans who had followed every crack in the Brown family's foundation for over a decade, they were convincing. And more than that, they were damning. All arrows began pointing to a single PayPal account rumored to be linked directly to Robyn Brown herself. That's when Christine's silence began to feel louder than any reality TV confessional. Whispers circulated that she was the original source of the PayPal screenshots, according to a well-known fan blog tied to Flagstaff locals. Christine had once been part of a shared group chat with the rest of the family during the days when they still pretended to be one financial unit. In that chat, they discussed filming, logistics, family expenses, and reimbursement protocols, but over time, that group reportedly shifted in tone. After the land drama escalated behind closed doors, the chat turned bitter. That same blog claimed Christine screenshot several exchanges involving money disputes, allegedly even messages where Kody or Robyn gave instruction about moving things around or keeping things off the books. According to insiders, Christine had kept these receipts close, guarded like insurance, waiting for the perfect storm. And now, the clouds were overhead. But what made this different wasn't just the receipts, it was the suggestion of motive. A source close to the Brown family claimed Christine had more than just screenshots. She had the why. One specific message allegedly reveals who authorized the payments and why they were structured to appear as business costs. And if she releases that, it could redefine the entire fallout, shifting blame from marital collapse to financial exploitation. Meanwhile, Kody and Robyn remained publicly mute, but sources say their inner circle has plunged into full-blown panic. Several local vendors tied to Robyn's household purchases were reportedly contacted that week, with odd questions about confirming transactions from 6 months earlier. It looked like someone was trying to backtrack the paper trail, to cover something, to clean it up before Christine struck again. But she might not be the only one with access, 'cause a familiar name, one the fans hadn't heard from in ages, suddenly began circling back into Whispers Mary. And that brings us to the birthday party. What was supposed to be a cheerful, low-key affair, balloons, cupcakes, and a unicorn piñata for Arielaba, came something else entirely. According to a Flagstaff local who claimed to be in the parking lot that day, the gathering began politely. Enough. Christine arrived with gifts. Janelle wore her classic forced smile. Mary, the ever-tightly wound wallflower, made a brief appearance. But the moment Robyn's oldest child brought out a camcorder just for memories, everything changed. The recording triggered something in Kody. He reportedly stormed over to Christine, pulled her aside, not gently, and laid it out in sharp, hushed tones. This stops now. No more leaks. No more tax talk. No more stirring up the past. But Christine, ever the queen of calm resistance, didn't back down. According to the source, she stared him dead in the eye and said, "I didn't start this, but I will finish it." That sentence echoed like a thunderclap through every forum and recap channel. And what shocked the fandom wasn't just the tension, it was who backed her. Mary. Yes, Mary, who had spent years biting her tongue, clinging to her place in the family even as Kody pushed her to emotional extinction. Allegedly passed Christine in the hallway and muttered a quiet but seismic phrase. "You're not wrong." Christine heard it. And though it wasn't loud or dramatic, it was enough. The first real crack in the sister-wife silence between them. But the real scene, the one that turned from speculation into full-blown legend, happened outside near the family van. TLC's camera crew was reportedly on standby, filming harmless B-roll for upcoming season transitions, when Robyn allegedly pulled Christine aside. This wasn't warm. There were no soft voices. Just a cold, firm statement. "I know what you're doing, okay? And you don't want to open that box." That phrase, "you don't want to open that box," was dissected frame by frame by viewers who believe it was less a warning and more a threat. Not emotional, but financial. Not about family bonds, but about paper trails, records, logs, bank statements, hidden emails, and luxury receipts that could expose not just carelessness, but intent. Was Robyn afraid? Was this her way of telling Christine to back down before everything burned? Or was it desperation, realizing the narrative she'd helped spin for years was being shattered in real time? No one knows for sure. But fans are convinced Christine is holding something back, something big, smoking gun. And if she releases it, the Brown family's empire already crumbling could collapse entirely. And what makes this all the more intense is who else was present. Janelle, standing back quietly, watching it all unfold. Mary, emotionally retreating but no longer denying reality. Robyn, icy and cornered. And Kody, pacing in frustration, reportedly trying to convince producers not to use any of the birthday footage in the season's B-roll montage. Meanwhile, Christine left the party early. But not before one camera caught her walking to her car, smiling. That image went viral within hours, because to fans, it wasn't just a smile, lit was a signal. A woman who had been underestimated, sidelined, and gaslit for years was finally in control. She didn't need confessional interviews to tell her truth. She had the facts, she had the timeline, and she had the receipts. And now, the fandom waits, because if this was just the beginning, the next drop could make everything we've seen on Sister Wives look like the prequel.
We didn't figure things out and become friends and band together like we have. Leaving would look a lot different.
The morning after that explosive birthday meltdown, everything shifted. Posts dwindled, fan theories faltered, mid-scroll, yet the atmosphere only grew heavier. Because what started as typical reality. Show drama now carried the distinct scent of legal trouble. Carolyn Beck, a prominent legal analyst known for her no-nonsense commentary on celebrity lawsuits, dropped a bombshell during her weekly live stream. If those tax documents are authentic, she stated plainly, then Kody Brown could be facing far more than just online backlash. The IRS may very well be circling. The document in question, resembling a Schedule C tax filing, didn't merely suggest a dip in income. It implied misreported finances, raising eyebrows over a certain consulting fee that aligned all too neatly with Robyn's alleged $48,000 emerald and diamond necklace. According to Carolyn, if this payment had been used to funnel communal funds into personal purchases under the guise of business expenses, it might not simply be unethical, it could be considered fraud. This isn't about sofas and shopping sprees, she warned. It's about financial misrepresentation and whether the government got its due. However, it was her next comment that set the internet ablaze. Christine's solicitor most likely vetted this before anything went public. This isn't revenge, it's strategy. Reddit threads exploded, TikTok deep dives multiplied, and fan blogs came alive with fresh vigor. A Flagstaff-based paralegal, supposedly involved in documentation linked to the Brown family trust, chimed in via a since-deleted comment suggesting Christine's legal team had been meticulously collecting evidence for months, not just screenshots or fan whispers, but properly filed paperwork, property deeds, and tax-linked bank statements. It wasn't a rant, it was a case file, allegedly. Christine was preparing to file an official complaint for financial mismanagement tied to the Browns' former shared LLC, and if she did, Arizona law dictates that even ex-spouses can be subpoenaed if they knowingly benefited from hidden marital assets 7 post-separation. That includes Robyn. That includes anyone who made high-value purchases using communal money. That includes recipients of so-called consulting payments who never provided a legitimate service. Fans immediately speculated whether a formal demand letter had already been delivered behind closed doors. Others believed this was Christine's way of firing a public warning shot, just provocative enough to shake nerves. But shy of sparking legal retaliation, the silence from Kody and Robyn only added fuel to the fire. Because it's one thing to threaten action, it's quite another to hold actual receipts. Now, according to one Flagstaff jeweler, those receipts might match dollar for dollar. Jeweler, speaking anonymously via a fan-run Instagram page, confirmed the details after blurred screenshots circulated locally. Yes, she bought it here. Yes, it was custom. Yes, it was paid in full in cash. She fans surmised was Robyn. It was the luxury emerald Dawn diamond necklace first spotted at a trunk show last autumn coincidentally. It's the same time frame when the consulting fee appeared on the leaked tax record, with a rumored price tag of just over $48,000. It wasn't just the extravagance that caught attention, but the details. The jeweler claimed the transaction wasn't listed in the usual customer ledger at Robyn's specific request. Instead, the cash was counted discreetly in the back office, verified, then immediately stored in the vault. The most shocking detail. While the sale was finalized, a man lingered outside the storefront wearing glasses. Pacing nervously, phone pressed tightly to his ear. He never entered, never engaged with staff. But when presented with a grainy image captured by a pedestrian, the jeweler said simply, "That's him, that was Kody." Store records reportedly aligned with the timestamp of the photo, which was taken just 2 weeks after the Coyote Pass land transfer had been completed. This revelation unleashed a tidal wave of speculation. Was the jewelry, the consulting fee, a payoff, a bribe, an ill-conceived gift? The questions were endless. But one truth remained. Kody had gone on record claiming a significant drop in earnings, while Robyn flatly denied any special treatment. Meanwhile, Christine stayed quiet, but her followers did not. They began tagging tax attorneys, investigative journalists, and public records offices across Arizona. At this point, fans weren't asking whether something improper had happened. They were asking who would get subpoenaed first. And then, just as the internet was at a boiling point, a quiet change to the public land records database sent tremors through the Sister Wives fandom. Less than 48 hours after Christine's leaked tax post, a correction deed appeared in the Coconino County's system. No press release, no announcement, just a one-page update buried within public files. One vigilant fan who had set up automatic alerts on all parcels tied to Coyote Pass received the notification at 3 a.m. The change adjusted the signature order and clarified ownership for one of the most debated lots on the property, long rumored to have been earmarked for Robyn's children. Originally, the deed had named a vague LLC as the recipient, but now the updated document clarified the transfer in ways that implied an urgent cleanup. Legal insiders noted that correction deeds are not filed lightly. They are meant to fix errors that could jeopardize legal ownership, financial liability, or even the legality of the original transfer. Sources hinted that the recorder's office didn't initiate the change of private party with legal standing did. Translation: someone close to the deal had seen Christine's post and moved swiftly behind the scenes, likely under the guidance of legal counsel to reduce exposure. Was it Kody? Robyn? A mutual advisor trying to protect both? We may never know, but the timing couldn't be ignored. And then came the most ominous moment yet. Christine posted a live stream teaser. There were no partnerships, no hashtags, no product placements, just a single black and white image of her kitchen island. In front of her, a large manila envelope, handwritten in thick red marker with one word: bigger. There was no sound. No dialogue, just Christine tapping her fingers methodically on the table where fans had seen her cook countless meals. The internet erupted. Was this the final blow? Some believe the envelope contained uncut LLC documentation, proof of years' worth of disproportionate withdrawals and traceable expenditures. Others speculated it was the unedited version of the Coyote Pass contract, one that included verbal promises or off-the-record allocations. The boldest theory suggested the envelope held bank receipts or itemized invoices connecting Robyn's lavish purchases directly to the consulting fee. "This isn't drama," wrote one viewer in the comments. "This is a financial audit dressed as a live stream." What made this moment different? What gave it gravity wasn't the content, but the source. This wasn't curated by TLC. It wasn't a teaser crafted by producers. It was Christine, who had once managed meals for a family of 20, now taking control of her own story, not with gossip, but with proof. Those close to her say the leak had been planned for months. Every document vetted, every post coordinated for legal defensibility. She wasn't looking for vengeance. She was leveling the playing field with tax filings, jewelry store confirmations, and a legally binding land deed correction already on public record. Christine wasn't bluffing. She was preparing. And the envelope. That was the final chess move. Suddenly, the $500,000 consulting fee was no longer a mystery. It was a breadcrumb in a much larger trail. And as Kody and Robyn remained eerily silent, the internet did not. FOIA requests were filed, parcel histories dissected, and bank connections theorized. Fans were no longer passive observers. They were participants in a public audit, and Christine, she hadn't even spoken yet. But her message was loud and clear. She was done being the silent ex-wife. Now she was the one holding the evidence. And the sister wives world would never be the same again. Do you believe Christine's envelope holds the final truth? What do you think Kody and Robyn are most desperate to keep hidden? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Like, subscribe, and stay with us because this story is far from over. You're watching StarSpill USA.